One tap, I send a receipt to my AI, it reads it with a vision model. Vendor, date, tax, total, and files a row straight into my Supabase database. No spreadsheet, no typing. Do it 1,000 times. 3 years of crumpled, faded, multi-currency receipts, and every one is now a row I own. Now I talk to them. How much did I spend on AWS last year? 8,940, broken down service by service. CloudFront alone was over 2,000. Where did most of my money actually go? My CDN, my compute, my storage. 3 services ate almost 2/3 of it. One sentence. 1,000 receipts I can talk to in plain English, built on an open source agent and a database I own. The thing that actually made it work? That's the whole video. If you run a business, honestly, if you've ever expensed anything, you have one of these. A black hole of receipts you swear you'll organize someday. I finally did, and the result kind of shocked me. Not a spreadsheet, a database I own that learned my spending and that I can ask questions in plain English. In this video, I'll show you exactly how I built it: an autonomous agent, Supabase as the brain, and one free open source thing from Supabase that stopped my AI from quietly wrecking my database. Stick around for that. It's the part most people skip, and it's the whole reason this actually worked. 3 years, multiple currencies, some crumpled, some faded to nothing, some screenshots, some PDFs. Every accountant's nightmare. Doing this by hand would take, a week, and I'd still get it wrong. So here's the plan. I hand all of this to an AI agent and let it do the boring, error-prone part. Read every receipt, pull out the vendor, the date, the amount, the tax, figure out what it's for, and file it. Then I want to do something a spreadsheet can never do: ask it questions. 3 pieces: a pile of receipts, Hermes, a self-improving AI agent from Noose Research, and Supabase, storing every transaction and every receipt image. And here's the thing that made me actually start. Supabase's free tier is generous enough to run all of this for $0. I'll show you exactly how generous later. Let's build it. Real talk though, how long has your receipt pile been sitting there? Drop it in the comments, I'm genuinely curious. First, the agent. Hermes is open source. You can run it on a $5 server, talk to it from Telegram. And here's the part that matters today. It's self-improving. It learns from what it does and writes itself reusable skills. We'll come back to that because it's going to save us later. If you want your own agent like this, deployed to the cloud and running 24/7, chatting with you on Telegram, remembering you across sessions and writing its own skills, and automating your day with cron jobs you set in plain English, I've put together a full Hermes deep dive course on Udemy, discount code in the description. Now, before I let Hermes anywhere near my database, I give it one thing: Supabase's official agent skill. Free, open source, and it's basically a 100-line instruction manual that teaches any AI agent how to use Supabase correctly. And I don't even leave Telegram. I just send Hermes the repo link and tell it to install it. Done. Why does that matter? Because AI agents already know about Supabase? But knowing about it and using it right are 2 different things. Supabase published this skill because agents kept doing things like inventing CLI commands that don't exist, or skipping security checks. This skill stops that. Watch how it changes what Hermes does next. All right, the foundation. And here's the part I love. Hermes doesn't design the table in a vacuum. It uses the first receipt as the blueprint. It reads that first receipt, figures out the shape of the data, and builds one clean table around it. Receipts: vendor and address, date and time, product, quantity and unit price, subtotal, tax with its own label and rate and amount, total, payment type and last 4, loyalty program and points, the tax ID, even a raw data column that keeps the full extraction so nothing's ever lost. Not a dozen normalized tables joined in a web. One flat, readable table. Exactly what a human bookkeeper would sketch on a napkin. Now, I can't actually show you Hermes running the SQL. That all happens in the background through its tools. So I asked it straight: describe in detail how the Supabase agent skills helped in the design of the receipts table. And it walked me through, point by point, exactly what the skill made it do. First point: a normal agent looks at a personal receipts table and thinks, it's just me, skip the security. The skill wouldn't allow it. Its rule is absolute. Every table in an exposed schema gets row-level security, non-negotiable. Second, and this is the one most agents get wrong, Hermes explained that RLS alone isn't enough. RLS decides which rows you can see, but a brand new table isn't even reachable through the data API until you explicitly grant access. Two separate layers. The skill made it do both. Then the policies. 3 more things at once. It used the current to clause, not the deprecated auth.role, that breaks the moment you turn on anonymous sign-ins. It added a select policy now, so a future update won't silently do nothing. And instead of pasting in some default auth.uid template, it made an actual decision. Every authenticated user can read, because this is a single user store. And the part I love. Hermes said the skill wouldn't let it stop there. A fix without verification is incomplete. So it ran a query, watched the row come back, and then called it done. 6 things the skill made Hermes do that a bare agent would have skipped, and it could explain every one of them because the skill told it why. The agent had the capability the whole time. It just needed to be told what matters. Remember that line? It's the entire point of this video. So that first receipt did double duty. It built the table and filed row 1. Every receipt after this, it just adds a row. So back to that first receipt. I sent it with a single line. Read the attached receipt. Pull vendor, date, amount, tax, what it's for, and file it. And watch this. Hermes reads it, not with some rigid scanner, with a vision model. And it pulls everything. Vendor, ESSO, ExxonMobil, the station number, the full address, date and time down to the minute, the product, 45 liters of regular at $1.51 a liter, subtotal, the tax broken out with its own label and rate, HST, 13%, the total, payment type and last 4, marked approved, even the loyalty points and the tax ID. Every field lands in its column, and this is row 1. Because the table already exists, anything I send from here on out just gets read and added as a new row. Same read, no setup. It files the row and comes back with the whole thing summarized. Vendor, address, date, product, subtotal, tax, total, payment, loyalty, and a record ID. One receipt, end to end. No spreadsheet, no copy-paste. I just talked to it. And that is the whole pipeline, now pointed at the pile. Every faded, tilted, multi-currency slip in there gets the same read and lands as another row. The table doesn't change, it just grows. Real talk, the first time I ran this across the whole pile, I expected a disaster. What actually happened surprised me. And when the dust settled, 1,000 receipts, 1,000 rows. Not one skipped, not one half read. The pile that used to live in a shoebox is now a single table I can search, filter, and own. Here's the payoff. 3 years of chaos, 1,000 receipts, turned into this. And here's the part that still gets me. I didn't write a single line of code for this. I just told Hermes in plain English, build me a dashboard, total spend, average receipt, monthly burn rate, a category breakdown, the monthly trend, and my top vendors by spend. That's it. A few minutes later, this is what came back, reading straight from the receipts table, live. No spreadsheet, no chart builder, no template. One sentence in, a professional dashboard out. Top row, $127,450 across 3 years. Average receipt, $127. A monthly burn rate of 3,500. 70 different vendors. All of it real, straight out of my own database. Year by year, 32.8 in 23, 43.6 in 24, 51 in 25. I had no idea I was spending that much more every single year until it was laid out like this. Below that, the trend, every peak and dip over 36 months. You can see exactly when I got expensive. And the category breakdown, software and personal neck and neck at the top, travel right behind. And because only about 1/3 of this is personal, the rest is deductible. That's the number my accountant used to spend hours digging for. And the vendors, Amazon Web Services, 20,000, 36 charges. Air Canada, 12,000, right down the list. Every dollar accounted for. This alone would have been worth the whole build. My accountant used to bill me 20 hours for something half this clear. But as good as this dashboard is, I actually use it less than you'd think, because I built something even better, something I can talk to. This is the part I couldn't stop smiling at. I don't need to read charts, I just ask. How much did I spend on AWS last year? $8,940 across 12 transactions. And it didn't just hand me a number, it broke it all the way down. CloudFront, my CDN, was the single biggest line at over $2,200. Then compute, storage, my database, 7 different services, each on its own. Where did most of my money actually go? 3 services, my CDN, my compute, my storage, ate almost 2/3 of it. One of them, CloudFront alone, took a quarter. I would have spent an hour in a spreadsheet to see that. One sentence. Top 5 vendors and which one grew the most. AWS at the top, 20,700. Then Air Canada, Microsoft, Marriott, Adobe. And the one that nearly doubled, Adobe, up over 100% year over year. Microsoft, meanwhile, fell by 3/4. That's a story I'd never have caught. Travel over 3 years. What was my biggest cost? $28,395. And Air Canada alone was nearly $12,000, more than double my next biggest cost, Marriott. Just getting to places cost me more than staying there. How much of this is cash, the stuff that could just vanish? Almost none, barely 7%. But here's what it caught that I never would have. My entire subscription backbone lives on one single card. Nearly $1,900 a year in recurring charges. 3 subscriptions, all tied to it. If that card dies, they all go dark at once, and I might never even notice. Now, how is it doing this? For every question, Hermes is writing SQL on the fly and running it against my Supabase database through the same MCP connection. It's not searching the web, it's not guessing, it's querying my data in my database that I own. That's the difference between a finance app and a finance brain. And because Hermes lives on Telegram, I can do this from anywhere. I'm out getting coffee. I wonder if I've blown my travel budget this month. I just ask. It answers from the live database. My finances are now a conversation. So, what's the first question you'd ask an AI that knew every dollar you've ever spent? Drop it in the comments. I actually want to read these. Now, how do the receipts actually get in? There's no one right way. The simplest is exactly what you saw earlier. I just snap a photo and send it to Hermes in a message, the receipt attached. One tap, it reads it, files it. But the whole 3-year backlog, I dumped hundreds of files into cloud storage and told Hermes, process them in batches. It chewed through all of them at once. No copy-paste, no babysitting. Right then or on a schedule. And you don't even have to be there for it. On a timer, it sweeps up anything new each night and sends me a weekly digest on Telegram. Here's what you spent, here's what changed, here's something worth your attention. And that's just scratching the surface. Forward a receipt email, share sheet a photo straight from your phone, point it at anything. Get creative. Once the receipts can reach Hermes, the rest is automatic. It's not a tool I babysit. It's a system that runs itself. Now, the bonus I teased at the start. Hermes has read 3 years of my spending, so it can do something no spreadsheet can. Plan my Q4. Based on my own history, it forecasts what I'll spend, spots the annual renewals coming up, and tells me exactly where I can cut. That's not a dashboard. That's a CFO that lives in my phone. Now, I built this for receipts, but the pattern is the thing. Anytime you've got a pile of stuff you want an AI to actually understand, this same setup works. Instead of receipts, picture this. Every random idea you have, a photo of something interesting, a quick voice memo on your commute, you just forward it to Hermes on Telegram. It stores all of it in Supabase. And once you've got months of that piled up, you don't just have notes. You can sit down and brainstorm with Hermes about your own ideas, because it's already read all of them. Or this, you send Hermes hundreds of clips of a hockey player. It breaks down positioning, patterns, mistakes, and gives real coaching feedback, a personal analyst that never sleeps. Notice what these have in common. In every case, there's a lot of data, and it all lives in Supabase. That's the real superpower here. Hermes is the brain, but Supabase is the memory. Give them a pile of anything, and they'll make sense of it. And here's the question everyone asks. What does all this cost to run? Answer: nothing. This entire system, the database, the receipt images, even auth if you ever add users, runs on Supabase's free tier. 2 projects, no credit card required. 500 megabytes of Postgres, a gigabyte of file storage, 50,000 monthly users if you ever turn this into a real product. That is genuinely generous. You can build and run a real app before you ever pay a cent. So the barrier to trying this isn't money, it's just your receipt pile. Quick aside, this build took me the better part of a week to research, script, and get right. If it saved you the same headache, a like or a subscribe genuinely helps other people find it, and it tells me to make more like this. I'd really appreciate it. So, 1,000 receipts, an autonomous agent that learned my spending, a Supabase database I actually own, and 1 free skill that kept the AI from trashing it. The bottleneck was never the AI's capability, it was context. Give it the right context, and it does the rest. If you want to build your own, the link to the Supabase agent skill is in the description. 1 message to Hermes, and you're set. And if you want to go deeper on Hermes, that Udemy course and discount code are down there too. Let me know in the comments. What's the first pile of your data you'd hand to an AI agent like this? Subscribe if you want to see what happens when I let Hermes loose on the rest of my business. Thanks for watching, and go organize those receipts.